All right, everybody, welcome back. You know what we're talking about today. We're diving into IRS penalties.
Oh, yeah.
This is fun. This is everyone's favorite topic.
Always a good time, right?
This is going to be a good one, though, because I think this is something that people are, terrified of,
Yeah.
utterly terrified
Makes sense.
of getting in trouble with the IRS and, owing penalties.
Who wants more?
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody.
So we're looking at this awesome guide. It's called Got IRS Penalties. Know the rules, pay nothing.
Love it.
So good.
Very direct.
And it's true because, we're going to break down, all these, crazy rules and stuff. But it's actually, they tell you how to get out of it.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay this stuff most of the time.
Well, and that's the thing. People don't realize how common these penalties actually are.
Totally.
It's so easy to just, miss a deadline or misunderstand something.
Yeah, or just, not even misunderstand. It's just, life happens, and
Just
then
like
you're
a
like,
tip.
oh, shoot.
Yep. And all of a sudden you owe more money.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, let's get into it because there's a lot to unpack here.
There is.
A lot of different penalties.
Yeah. IRS has a penalty for everything.
Yeah, they really do.
So let's start with late filing.
Okay.
One of the most common ones.
Yeah.
So if you're an individual taxpayer or a C corporation.
Which is a standard corporation.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
just for people who don't know the lingo.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You miss that deadline, you're looking at a penalty of 5% of the unpaid taxes.
5% every month.
Every month.
Or part of a month?
Part of a month that your return is late.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that's capped at 25% of your total tax bill.
So even if you're oh, it's fine, I'll just file super late and just hit that 25% cap.
Doesn't quite work like that.
No, because if they think that you're doing that on purpose, then it gets even worse.
It gets worse. It jumps to 15% per month.
Yes.
And still caps out at 25.
Oh my God.
So just get you there faster.
So you're really just...
Don't do that.
Yeah, you're digging a hole. Okay, so what about partnerships and S Corp? Because that's different, right?
It's different. It's a little different.
S Corp are those kind of smaller businesses that choose to be taxed a certain way, right?
Yeah, exactly right. So those have their own set of rules.
Okay.
And for partnerships and S Corp, the late filing penalty is a flat $245 per partner or a shareholder.
Per month.
Per month. It's late.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so if you've got a 10-person partnership and you're a couple of months late.
That adds up so fast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it's capped at 12 months.
So you could be looking at thousands of dollars in penalties.
Oh, absolutely. Especially for a smaller company that might not have a ton of cash on hand.
Yeah.
This is where it can get really serious.
It's a good motivator to file on time, right? Holy cow.
That's the goal.
I feel I need to set a million reminders on my calendar.
Seriously.
Okay, so that's just late filing.
That's just late filing.
Okay, what about if you file on time but you don't pay?
Right, another good one.
Yeah.
That's late payment penalty.
Okay.
It's a flat 0.5% of the unpaid tax for each month or part of a month that it's late.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is where it gets really bad.
Yeah.
If you're late on both?
Exactly.
So let's say you owe I don't know, $10,000 in taxes.
Yeah.
And you're a month late on both.
You're going to be paying.
That's an extra $500 for the late filing and then an extra $50 for the late payment.
You got it.
On top of the $10,000 you already owe.
On top of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the guide actually gives a really good example of someone who owed $3,000 and filed just 2 months late, and it was a $300 penalty.
Ouch.
Yeah, just for being 60 days behind.
Yeah, that's a weekend getaway.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, okay.
And we haven't even talked about interest.
Oh no, which is a whole other...
I know, there's interest and then there's penalties on top of the interest.
Exactly.
All right, this is a lot.
It is a lot.
What else we got?
Failure to deposit penalties.
Failure to
But
deposit.
it's for businesses.
Yeah. Businesses that withhold taxes from employee paychecks, income tax, Social Security, they have to deposit those to the IRS regularly.
Right. You don't want to be holding on to employee taxes.
Exactly. And if you miss those deposits,
Yeah.
the penalty is steep.
How steep are we talking?
2 to 15% of the underpayment.
Of the underpayment.
Okay. Depending on how late you are.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So this is not something to mess around with.
No kidding.
No.
Okay.
This is serious stuff.
Yeah.
It's serious money.
Okay, so we're thoroughly terrified.
Right.
Okay. I am stressed out, officially stressed out.
Yeah.
I know we're just at the tip of the iceberg here,
Right.
but this is a lot.
Yeah, it can feel overwhelming.
So what do we do?
That's why this guide is so good.
Okay.
It's not just about understanding the penalties. It's about how to get out of them.
So there's hope.
There's always hope.
Don't tell me the IRS has a heart.
Let's just call it strategic maneuvering.
Okay.
They call them penalty busting strategies in here.
Yeah. Penalty busting strategies?
Yeah.
I like it.
And they're honestly surprisingly simple.
Okay, give it to me straight.
All right, so first up, we've got the first time abate power move.
First time okay, so if it's my first time messing up, they're just gonna let me off the hook?
It's not exactly letting you off the hook,
Okay.
but essentially if it's your first penalty in 3 years or your first one ever, the IRS will usually waive it entirely.
Wait, really?
Yeah, you just got to know to ask.
What's the catch?
The catch is you need a clean tax compliance history for those
Okay.
past 3 years.
Okay, so no, other outstanding issues?
Exactly. And what's interesting is the guide actually says that the IRS instructs its employees to prioritize this type of penalty relief.
So they're basically begging us to use this.
Pretty much, when you contact the IRS, you use those magic words.
Which are?
First time ever.
First time I got it.
And it can work wonders.
I feel like I need a secret handshake to go with it.
Right. The guide actually mentions this case where this guy got an $8,000 penalty waived just by making a quick phone call.
$8,000 phone call. Okay, I'm suddenly feeling a lot less stressed out.
Good.
Okay, what if it's a partnership, though? Is there a different secret handshake?
Kind of. So there's actually this little known loophole specifically for late filed partnership returns.
Okay.
It's called Revenue Procedure 8435.
Revenue Procedure 8435.
Yeah, you're going to want to write that down.
Okay, going straight into the notes.
So basically, if you've got a partnership with 10 or fewer partners,
Okay.
and each of those partners filed their individual returns on time
Okay.
and reported their share of the partnership's income, even if the partnership itself is late filing, the IRS will generally waive that penalty.
What?
Yep, all you got to do is mention Revenue Procedure 8435.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So even if you mess up, as long as the individual partners are good, you can get out of it.
Exactly.
That's wild.
It's a good one.
Okay, so that's best case scenario.
Yeah.
But let's say that you don't have a spotless record and you're not eligible for this super secret partnership thing.
Right.
What happens then?
Okay, so in those cases, you can try for what's called reasonable cause abatement.
Reasonable cause. Okay, that sounds promising, but also kind of vague.
It is a little bit vague.
What does that even mean?
Essentially, you need to show that you had a legitimate reason for not filing or paying on time.
Okay.
Think situations beyond your control.
Okay.
So a serious illness, a natural disaster, the IRS even losing your paperwork.
So if a hurricane comes and wipes out my entire business, I'm off the hook.
Pretty much, yeah. Nobody's expecting you to be digging through the rubble for your tax forms.
That's fair.
However, and this is important,
Okay.
you can't just be oh, something came up. You need to be prepared to give them a detailed explanation, documentation, a clear timeline of events.
So the dog ate my tax forms is not going to fly.
Probably not. And word to the wise, the guide specifically says to avoid weak excuses like, I forgot, or my accountant messed up.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you're responsible.
That makes sense. Okay, so for those listening who are thinking, okay, but what if my penalty is huge?
Yeah.
What if it's multiple weekend getaways? Huge.
Right. Yeah. Big penalties.
What do you do then?
Yeah. So the good news is the process is basically the same,
Okay.
no matter how much it is.
Okay.
So remember that first time abatement magic phrase?
Yeah.
That actually doesn't have a dollar limit for oral requests.
Wait, so even if I'm hey, I owe you guys $100,000, can I still be first time abate, please?
Pretty much. Yeah, it's always worth a try.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Now, for other types of abatement, if it's a more complex situation,
Yeah.
you might need to submit a written request.
Okay.
But the good news is the IRS doesn't actually publicly say what their threshold is for a written request.
Oh, so there's no magic number where it's nope, this is too much, you're in trouble.
Not that we know of. And that's where the persistence comes in.
Okay.
Because even if you're initially denied, you can actually appeal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'll send you a written explanation of how to do that.
So it's a choose your own adventure, but instead of fighting dragons, it's the IRS.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're telling me there's always a path forward.
There's always a path.
Even if it gets a little hairy?
Yeah.
Okay, well, some people listening are probably man, I wish I knew this sooner because I already paid my penalty.
Right.
Is there any hope for those people?
There might be. You can actually request a refund for penalties that you already paid.
What?
Yeah. You have to file Form 843.
Okay.
And there are time limits, of course.
Yeah, what are we working with here?
So you've got 3 years from the date you filed the return or 2 years from the date you paid the penalty.
Okay.
So if you're within those time frames,
There's still a chance.
There's still a chance
Oh my gosh.
you might be able to get that money back.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I mean, even just knowing that there's a chance,
I know, right?
it makes it almost like bearable.
Right.
Like dealing with the IRS, knowing that like, okay, there's a chance I could get out of this.
Exactly.
Oh man, and here's another bonus.
Okay.
If the IRS does approve your request and like reduces or removes your penalty, they'll automatically adjust any related interest too.
What a deal.
Right.
Double bonus.
Okay, so before we let everyone go, because I know this is a lot of information,
Yeah.
what are like the key takeaways that you want people to remember?
Okay, so number one,
Write this down, everybody.
always check if you qualify for first-time abate.
Okay.
That's like the easy button.
Yeah.
Number two,
Yeah.
partnership people.
Yes.
Revenue procedure 8435.
Write that down.
It's your new best friend.
Secret code.
Exactly. And then finally,
Okay.
if you're dealing with a more complicated situation, just, master the art of reasonable cause.
Be organized.
Be organized.
That's DT.
Detailed, and don't give up.
Yes.
Persistence is key.
Because as they say, knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to the IRS.
For sure.
So hopefully everybody listening is now feeling a little bit more empowered, a little bit less terrified.
Less fear, more confidence.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
maybe even inspired to take a second look at some past penalties that you just like paid and you're like, whatever.
It happens.
Hey, I never know.
Yeah, you might get some money back.
Exactly.
That's it for our deep dive into IRS penalties. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope you learned something, and we will see you next time.